My name is Miguel Lord. I'm your host of Chamber Live. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Communication for the Atlanta Black Chambers, and it is time to get it going today. Raquel, how you doing today, sis?
I am doing well, coming to you live from the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurship here in Atlanta. So all is well over here in Hillville. All right, so we just want to let you guys know ways that you can remain and stay engaged with the Atlanta Black Chambers is by following us on our social media platforms. We are, of course, here with our presence on Facebook. You can also plug in with us on Instagram as well as LinkedIn, and we do have a Twitter presence. So ways to stay engaged and plugged in with the Facebook or with the chamber or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
Absolutely. So we also have our women's league, who is very strong on LinkedIn. They got well over 2,000 people on their LinkedIn page, and so for our ladies in the women's league, we also have groups with the South Metro Business Connecting, so you can connect with us there. And so, we're trying out some things. We always talk about the work that we do within the chamber, within the work like this is a little bit of a lab, because we also want to teach our community how to use these resources to make their businesses stronger. And so we're trying out a few things. We want to make this show a little bit more engaging. But before we do that, I want to make sure we acknowledge who we've got on today. We got an amazing show for you today. As we have Luis Negron. Luis is the executive director, just celebrated 1 year as executive director for the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. But he's got quite a story, Afro-Latino. He's doing a lot of work in that space, worked for the United Way, worked for Operation Hope. We'll go through all of that during our conversation with him. We got a new program that he is promoting that we're going to premiere here in the next month or so called, and I say we, it's no surprise. I'm also a member of the 100 Black Men. I serve on the board there. And so I say we because it is we. I'm part of that organization too. But we got a show called Brother to Brother that we're producing. It's going to be some amazing conversations. My God, the first conversation we had, Raquel, is with Jay Bailey. You're sitting in the Russell Center as we speak. And we produced some content that we'll release in the next few weeks. But Jay's got an amazing story. And so we're going to have a conversation with him. We've got I can't let the cat out the bag. I can't let the cat out the bag. We've got some great interviews we're going to have. But before we get into that, let's make sure we don't miss the boat. Today is the third day of the shortest month of the year, but it's also Black History Month. Black History Month as we celebrate the accomplishments of our community. And so as an African American organization, Rock, it's Black History Month, girl. We got to make sure we always represent Black History Month and give that love. So as we look, I want to talk a little bit. There's a few things before we get into our conversation. There's some stuff that's hot topics things, and I want to start bringing that into our show, Rock, because this stuff is really important. So a couple of things that are on the horizon right now. If you unless you're under a rock, there's two things that are at top of conversation right now. It's a nomination of a Black woman to the Supreme Court. And why is that important to us as a Black chamber? Obviously, the laws that are dictating the way we're moving, the way that we live, are in a lot of ways are executed. The legislative branch are the ones who write the laws. The judicial branch also enforces the laws. And so it's really important that we respect that process. And so, Raquel, when it came down to Biden running for president, one of the promises he made was to nominate a Black woman to the Supreme Court. And the first thing that the issue that they were concerned about was I think it's Judge Breyer, I believe is the judge who is retiring, was not having the same issue that happened with the last two presidential cycles. Obama did not get an opportunity because late in his term, he was not able to fill that position. And what ended up happening was that I believe Trump got two seats that he ended up putting on the Supreme Court. And so now, everyone is backfilling. We're trying to figure out, the whole country's trying to figure out what to do. And so now we do have this time now. Biden in his second year is going to have an opportunity to potentially fill that seat. And there are something around 6 Black women which are being considered right now for those seats for the Supreme Court. There's one senator that's right now just had a stroke. And so they will not be available to participate in the vote. We know that we have a 50-50 split with two senators, Senator Manchin out of New Mexico, Senator Manchin out of West Virginia, and then the Senator Sinema out of Arizona, which they are Democrats, but they are, when it comes down to a lot of these issues, they are not siding on the side of the Democrats. And so that 50-50 split that everyone talks about is not as much of a 50-50 split, especially especially when it comes down to Build Back Better plan, which is paramount to us as Black business people. That is extremely important. So the reason why I want to start bringing these type of segments into our conversation, because they are important that we understand and we engage. There is with the infrastructure bill, which is just signed into law. There's a lot of money there for our community, minorities, Black folk, women, that can go get a lot of resources to help support their businesses. And so we don't want you to miss out on these opportunities. Rocky, you got anything on that?
No, I think you pretty much covered it all. So
All good, all good.
yeah.
So the other thing I want to talk about that's affecting us here in Georgia is the Georgia's governor's race. A lot of people obviously are big fans of Stacey Abrams. She announced back not long after the mayor of Atlanta was established with our new mayor. She announced maybe the next day, I think it was, that she was going to run for governor again, which I don't think it was any surprise she was going to run. And so when she made that announcement, then of course what has been anticipated, which is the people on the other side, they immediately went into the attack ads, and everything that they do is all centered around defeating Stacey Abrams. She's done some great work in registering people to vote, not only here in the state of Georgia, but across the nation. There's a lot of question about improprieties around the last election. Obviously, when you're running against a person who has the ability as a Secretary of State to throw votes out, that presents some challenges. But right now, the polling goes, whether it be, because we also have Senator Perdue, former Senator Perdue, is also running for governor, and so it's something interesting going on the Republican side where, they're all answering to Trump. Trump has now endorsed Perdue against Kemp, and now he's asking that Vernon Jones, who was a longtime Democrat, who is now a registered Republican, he is running for governor, African American. A lot of people in DeKalb County know who Vernon Jones is. He's been around for a long time. And now Trump wants him to drop out. And because he's determined that Senator Perdue is his guy. And so all of this time, Vernon Jones, you're seeing all those signs all over the side of the road about Vernon Jones. And now that Trump is asking him to drop out. Once again, very important for us to pay attention to this. What happens in this midterm election, because also Senator Warnock is going to be on the ballot. And so, it's good to start paying attention to it now. I know a lot of us have fatigue. A lot of us have Trump fatigue. A lot of us have this where we're getting disengaged, and that is probably the most dangerous thing that could happen to us right now. So make sure that everybody, you stay engaged in the process. Stacey Abrams, I'm sure, is out there. If you are a Republican, you got your choices. You've got Kemp and you've got Perdue. You've got Jones, you've got others in other races, but then also pay attention to those local races. Here in Henry County, where I am, our county commissioner, one of our 6 county commissioners, up and resigned earlier this week. And so that is something else to pay attention to, because as we worry about the national, or we worry about the state, where you live is important. Your county is important, your commissioners are important, your mayors, your city managers, and so make sure you pay attention to those processes as well. All right, so the other thing I want to talk about real quick, I want to talk about this situation with Brian Flores. People say, who is Brian Flores? Brian Flores is a football coach who was just with the Miami Dolphins, and Black coach who was fired at the end of the year. A lot of us who are sports fans are saying, okay, that makes sense. He won 7 of his last 8 games. Why did he get fired? We all know the issues. We go back now. Has it been, God, my Lord, has it been 5 years with Colin Kaepernick? It's probably been 5 years with Colin Kaepernick, right? And, people wondering why he can't get back into the league and things of that nature. In Black History Month, mark my words, Brian Flores is getting ready to become a staple in our lessons for Black history. This guy is a very successful football coach, but he has now sacrificed potentially his career by filing a civil lawsuit that against the NFL about their hiring practices. And the reason why this is relevant to us is that as we talk about as entrepreneurs, and as people who are employees and people who are entrepreneurs, business owners, the bottom line is the struggle continues to be us getting a fair shot at opportunities. And if people will say, oh, it's just a football coach, Those football coaches are millionaires. Those football coaches are people who are doing extremely well. And there's only one. There's only 32 jobs, 32 of those jobs in the world, and that's an NFL football coach. And so you're talking about now going into this season. There's only one right now, as of with all off season moves. There's only one black coach that's left, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. This is something I want you guys to really pay close attention to. It's not just about football. This is about hiring practices. This is about the way that these people are being treated. There's another guy, Hugh Jackson, who is currently now at Grambling State. For some of us SWAC fans and Grambling State fans, he was formerly the Cleveland Browns coach, and he is now coming out and saying that there were some situations with him that he was actually being paid to lose. Yes, I said that. He was being paid to lose. And so let's pay attention to how the playing field and leveling the playing field and how we can get ourselves involved in the process. So anyway, those are some of the hot topic stories that we're talking about today. Some of the things that we may discuss that during our interviews and conversation with our guests or not. I'm sure, hear me when I tell you that both of these brothers that we're going to have on today, I know they have an opinion about it. For people who may not know, as I mentioned, Luis Negron, who is executive director of the 100 Black Men, but he's also we also have in addition to Luis, we have Eldredge Washington. A lot of us in the Atlanta market know Eldredge. You may know a company who used to have a website called Spendify, and they were very focused on collecting and bringing black businesses in the marketplace. He and his it was a brother by the name of last name Davis, who was his business partner. He had that business for a while. He used to do the tours and seeing and everything. Young guy, sharp guy. Anybody knows Eldredge knows you get around him, his energy is always infectious, and it's always something that's going to be a great conversation. So, all right, before we bring in our guest, let me bring Rock back in. What you got? Anything before we bring in our brother Luis? Because I know he's waiting. He's been patient, and I want to bring him in because we're gonna have a great conversation. Any feedback?
No, again, just everything that you said. I'm very excited about the guests that we have coming on today. The goal was to find people who could really kind of bring us terms of being Black History Month, have a voice about Black history. And Eldredge has the tendency to lean a little bit on the activist side, but what that will allow us to do is just kind of show the vast reach that the chamber has at large. Here at the chamber, as individuals, we all have our own personal opinions about who we vote for, red versus blue. But overall, the chamber likes to maintain what we refer to as a purple agenda. So just really excited. And again, like my brother said at the top, stay engaged with what's going on at politically. That's how we kind of this whole thing that you talked about in terms of fatigue. That's how they try to trick us. They wear us out with a lot of negative hype to distract us and then make us think, oh, I'm just going to go listen to the baby all day because I don't have time for this. But stay plugged. That's nothing wrong with the baby. Stay plugged in. Keep your ear to the ground and make sure you have someone in your circle who is at least checking for you on a political level so they can come back and give you the information.
Absolutely.
Me, I'm more. Yeah.
Absolutely. When we look at the strategy which has been out there since November of 2020 now, the Republicans and the conservatives have their energy has not waned. They're keeping the narrative up of the stealing, the election was stolen and all of the improprieties and all of that. And so a lot of Democrats and progressives, they have not been as engaged. And so it's time to start paying attention again. so if you're not paying attention, it's time to start paying attention again. But let me transition. As we say in the business. So I want to kind of talk to you about our first guest. As I mentioned, Luis Negron is a friend of mine. He's a frat brother of mine. Always got to get that out the way. Because we're gonna talk about that as well. But this brother is very accomplished. He's the current executive director and COO of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. He was former market president of Operation Hope. Shout out to our man, John Hope Bryan, who's a friend of the chamber. CEO United Way of Transylvania County in North Carolina. 2022 Atlanta Magazine's top 500 most influential folks here in the Atlanta market. And he is also a husband and a father of twins. And let me bring him into the shot. Uh-oh. Where did we go? There we go. Nope. I want this one gone. There we go. Technology will always fail you if you let it. Brother Luis, how you doing, man? You're muted.
Man, it is an honor to be here with each of you today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you to hosting us on this very important topic. I'm excited about today. So, look, I'm ready to dive into some of the questions and topics you talked about. And Brother Washington and I are actually good friends. So I'm excited
Okay.
to be on here with him and see what disruption and trouble we could get into. Good trouble.
Hey, good trouble. Good trouble. Shout out to the legend John Lewis. So man, let's jump into this thing. And we can come back to some of the subjects that we talked about that I talked about in earlier monologues. But let's first talk about the 100 Black Men. You are the current executive director and COO of the 100 Black Men here of Atlanta. But let's going back to your a little bit of your origin story, coming here from Oakland, California. You were played football in high school, came here, you were a Morehouse man. Talk to us a little bit about your origin and what Atlanta means to you, man.
Yeah, I will always be grateful to Morehouse. I had the blessing at 18 years old. Of course, I'm from the town, so shout out to my Raiders. Unfortunately, they didn't hire Eric Bieniemy, but I'll come back to that one. But
Yeah, that is a good conversation to have. Ain't no doubt about that. Yes, yes,
But
yes.
yeah, I'm from Oakland, so my family's from Puerto Rico. They moved there in the '50s, so I'm first generation. I learned English when I was 6, and what most people don't know is that I grew up on in North Oakland. Huey P. Newton was a graduate of my high school. That's the founder of the Black Panther Party. Actually, the Black Panther Party was founded around the corner from my house. So when you talk about the 10-point system and everything that was happening in during the '70s and '80s with the Black Panther Party, I was in it. I was a child in those schools. So I got to get a culturalization of what it was to be in Black power very early on in my life, which really translated to the activism I do today.
Hmm.
When I turned 18, I got to meet Miriam Wright Edelman, who is the retired CEO of the Children's Defense Fund. That
Hmm.
sister is a Spelman grad, went to Yale Law School. She was one of Dr. King's lieutenants. And she dedicated her life to focusing on children and families. And I worked with her for 8 years, purchasing the Alex Haley Farm after he passed away to turn into the Ella Baker Training Institute, to implementing freedom schools during the summer using college students as a reference to what was happening in the 60s, learning my development and fund work and networking. So I was between DC, Mississippi, Oakland, and Georgia. And
Hmm.
it was her encouragement that said, come to Morehouse.
Mm.
When I got to Morehouse, I understood why she wanted me to come, because she felt that it would be an area where I could get additional training and networking with future leaders. And of course, the history of Morehouse, Dr. King and Maynard Jackson and all those that were before us were there. So it's building upon the legacy. And for me, I bring that now back to Atlanta, coming back.
Hmm.
And one of the things I say and that I've said consistently about the 100 is that we are the protectors of our family and children of Atlanta as men, and we will stand up for that.
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's a humble brag, man. Some of the brothers that in the 100, and I'm proud of the work that they're doing. And here's the thing: what I love about the brothers in the 100, there's a lot of brothers that can really have their nose in the air and not
Mm-hmm.
really care about the community, and they will be just fine from a standpoint of doing well in their careers and all of that. But these guys don't fake humble mentoring. These are guys that are rolling up their sleeves and they're getting very engaged, and they're doing it on a regular basis. But when you talk about the work that you're doing in the community, as far as the organizations you're connecting with that are helping move us to the needle along, we had some work we did recently with United Way. We've got a billboard campaign right now that is a Stop the Violence campaign. Let's talk a little bit about the work that is being done in the 100 in the community.
Oh, I would say it's a rebranding of the 100, and I love the fact that we have brothers who are from the most accomplished backgrounds who are actually humble in doing this work and don't want accolades.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really appreciate about
Yeah.
it. They do the work behind the scenes to ensure that the family and children we work with are safe. Yeah, the work is great. I would say United Way has come on board with us. Thank you, Milton Little and Ebony Johnson and all Katrina Mitchell, all of you at United Way for trusting in us the money and the funding to do this campaign and the work
Mm-hmm.
that we did for COVID-19. As we know, especially men of color and people of color are the most affected by this. And we have Brother Miguel Lloyd did a wonderful campaign both online and billboards, which tells the story. And we continue to do that work. I will also say a partnership that most people don't know we have is brand new. Is actually with the Fern Bank Museum.
Yeah.
You know,
Talk to us
many,
about that.
many, yeah, many of our students have never even set foot in the Fern Bank Museum, let alone their parents. So, and I have to thank past chairman Gooch for this opportunity where he said the firm bank is interested in partnering, and I followed that up. And their CEO and their information, they came on board and their board, and we did an MOU where they have mobile buses that take actual snakes and artifacts out of the museum and brings it to the school. So that programming is happening on a consistent basis in Best Academy, Coretta Scott King schools, as well as some of the other schools. Ray and his team are doing great where they bring the zoo out.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was one where students had never seen a live snake before. And just to have that exposure, just to see that in their presence was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say our robotics program. I think for me,
Sure, I
the
was
biggest
going,
advice that I had was, first of all, thank you to Lonnie Johnson and his wife Linda for allowing us the opportunity to partner with them at the Johnson STEM Center there on Decatur Street.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a gold nugget we have. Most people don't realize that we have a technology robotics program that focuses on engineering and STEAM, and it's not just in Atlanta. We're across the state. We're in Savannah, we're in Augusta, we're in North Georgia, we're in rural areas, and we're in South Carolina, right across from Augusta. So, brother, we're doing the work, and we're
That's
trying
right.
to bring that to focus for people to see.
And how, Atlanta being one of the stronger chapters in the 100, so a lot of things that are happening nationally with the 100 Black Men of America, we're following their lead, and they're following our lead, and so we're all working very, very closely together. A lot of the leadership in the national chapter are also members of our local chapter, and so we definitely work collaboratively with that. Tell us why you're so locked in serving. Your whole career has been based in serving. You also are a ordained minister.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Tell us why you're so locked in with serving.
Well, I was one of those children growing up in Oakland, California. My dad never finished beyond elementary school. He was a sanitation worker for 30 years. My mom never finished high school, so education became very important. Not only that, they couldn't speak English very well, so I had to depend on programs like Boys and Girls Club around the corner, the Omega Boys Club. Um, shout out to them in Oakland, California. Just programs that had to assist me because I didn't have in my tribe at home, they didn't have the capacity and the understanding to be able to move forward to advance things for me. So I'm very appreciative of the time I grew up in Oakland because there were a lot of services for me. And I felt that I had to give back. And that's just something that just always stuck with me is like, I have to make a difference. When I look at the children and I visit the schools and I see the parents, I think of my experiences. And, I'm in a position now with, in partnership with you and other brothers to make a difference in the lives of children and families.
Yeah, that's absolutely important. Raquel, feel free to jump in if you have anything for Luis. I know you're excited about these two guests that we have, but I want to pivot a little bit and talk about economics because that's what we do here with the Black Chamber. We're looking forward to partnering with the 100. I have had some conversations behind, so I think it's okay for me to mention that on air.
It is. It
But
is.
yeah, we're looking forward to because you have done some work with some the 100 has done work with some other chambers in the market. We have members of our organization who are part of the Atlanta Business League, and so it's time for the Black Chamber to get involved in that relationship because I think we've got some. We've got some folks that need to get connected with what you're doing with the 100. But Raquel, I don't know if you got something, sis. Go ahead, jump in.
I'm gonna let you finish up, but hoping to kind of bring all back in some more Black history kind of content because you dropped a lot of names of some key players who have influenced you. Ella Baker, who's one of my idols. So at some point, just if we could just bring it back in and kind of just talk about. I'm looking for the Atlanta Black history kind of strength that we have in this city and what attracts people here.
Yeah.
Move here.
Yeah, so I would say along my career, because of my relationship with Miss Edelman, I was able to work with Miss Coretta Scott King. God bless her, God bless her and her husband. Behind the scenes at the time when I got here in the early '90s. She was really focused on doing a lot of work with college students to build the King Center. So I was one of the students that naturally gravitated to the work that she was doing. I mean, she cooked the excellent Sunday soup that I loved, and when she would be at her house, and I think when you think of the matriarchs of the movement, and you think of the movement itself, I think now most people when they look back, because unfortunately we've lost a lot of them, they just they know them in books, and I would say that the blessing that I've been able to know, some of the leaders there before who bestowed their knowledge upon me. One of the ones I would say that we're missing greatly right now is Dr. Asa Hilliard, the father of Black psychology. His son Hakeem Hilliard. Hey, brother, how you doing? If you're listening, he's going to be a feature speaker for us at a general body meeting. But Dr. Hilliard, I mean, that brother, he brought Black history and connected the dots from Egypt to current, and was able to do that. When he came to Georgia State, he helped build and put it on a map in regards to Black psychology and education. He
Hmm.
was also one of the directors for us at the 100 Black Men, or program director for 10 years. And he used a lot of his influence and work to have the Afrocentric teachings within there to teach the children of Atlanta, and to recognize who they are as kings and queens within themselves.
Wow, that's yeah. I'm looking forward to that conversation. You're exactly right. I think that's part of the holistic development of our community. We talked about the Morehouse men and the brothers that you're proud of. We talked about the Georgia race. Let's talk a little bit about, because we wanted to touch on a couple of things that we talked about prior to, was something historic is about to happen with the Supreme Court. It's very, very possible. Right now, we know that the Biden administration has put up a bank of Black women. I've seen about 6 or 7 that they are vetting out, that they're positioning for that Supreme Court nomination. What's your take on that?
It's a chess match. That's really what it's going to come down to. Who's going to be able to become the queen at the end and win the chess match? So when I look at it, the Republicans are sitting up their pawns more or less in a way that can see who could be more powerful to be able to be actually pass the sniff test of the Republicans. I do agree with Raquel. We have to stay purple because of the positions we in.
Yeah.
But I'll say personally, I'm excited to see a sister in the Supreme Court. I'm excited to see that there will be that voice, because that voice will break generational curses of Black women who have been voiceless for so long. So
Hmm.
for me, this will be a monumental achievement for us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I think that Black women, Black women are not shameful right now. Black women they understand their role. They understand the importance that they've had in the development of the elections and leadership. Here's what we know: Black folks have been in administrative positions when I mean running these organizations, but not given the ability to be leaders. And that is now something that Black folks are demanding, and led by Black women. And so our job as Black men is definitely to support that movement. Before I bring in, because my man Eldredge is sitting back here. I see him over. He chomping at the bit. We got so much we want to bring him into this conversation as well. But before we bring him into this conversation, I want to talk about the Afro Latino movement that you've been very intentional. You've been very intentional since coming back into the Atlanta market, to making sure that you're bringing these two communities together. To kind of talks about your mindset there.
Yeah, we're part of the same African diaspora. We were taken from West Africa and from different parts of Africa, and it was really funny. I'll tell you how I really started to pay notice of it. My dad's a Black Puerto Rican, my mom's a white Puerto Rican. So when I
Mm-hmm.
got to Georgia, when I got to Morehouse, most people were like, "Oh," especially with my name, they were like, "Oh, what part of New Orleans you're from?"
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn the culture of what the South was, especially when I went to New Orleans, to see that there were people who looked like me, who had Spanish and French roots, who were Black. And one of the biggest things that I learned was that the African diaspora is very diverse. So I've never shied away from my African roots, and especially here. And I really think that the Black and brown people, we share more in common than anything else. And it's important that we work together. Deep, that's never happened before. And starting the conversation, engaging the conversation, it hasn't been easy. Brother, I'll tell you, when I first got hired as the executive director of the 100, I actually got
Mm-hmm.
some messages on LinkedIn and Facebook that were negative. They're like, why they hire you? I mean, it blew me away, and I have to say that it was unfortunately some of our own people. And I
Oh,
was like, brother,
I'm not surprised.
yeah, and I was like,
I'm not surprised one bit. I'm just
and
not.
I was like, brothers, sisters, you don't understand your true roots of who we are as a people and how we came to be and where we are today. So for me, I see there's more of an eagerness today for both the Afro Latinos and the Black and brown people to work together systematically to make change that'll
Mm-hmm.
be more powerful than anything else has ever been to in here before in Atlanta.
This is amazing, man. Can you hold on for a minute? I want to make sure I give. We got another segment. We got to get in where Raquel talks about our previous events, but I want you to hold on because I want to bring you in with the conversation with Eldredge on the back end of the show. But let me go to Rock. I'm coming to you, sis. I'm coming to you. And let's talk about us, what we've been doing here with the 100.
All right, so good show so far. Super excited, and I'm glad for the first time we're going to have both of our guests on at one time. So, in case you missed it, January we really kicked it off On January 12th, we had our How Business Owners Can Purchase a Home. January 13th, out of the MCAT committee, we had How to Rock Your 2022 Marketing Plan. A lot of nuggets were dropped in there, thanks to May Shannon. So every second Thursday of every month, you can check out MCAT as they bring you more of what's going on in the marketing, communication, advertising, and technology sector. On January 15th, we had our virtual open house. It was an amazing turnout. People who want to know more about the chamber plugged in to hear it directly from the leadership. So we had our various leadership committee chairs come on and talk about their committees. January 26th, the Arts and Entertainment Committee had their industry open house. On the 25th, for members only, we had a governing board candidate reveal. So there are things that we share with you guys in the general public, and then there are things that kind of go on that are member only. On January 27th in the morning, our training and professional development team, they did an introduction of who they are. Usually the topics that come out of the training and professional development committee are on fire. This time it was just all about getting to know who's on the committee so that you guys can be engaged and know that there's so much more to the Atlanta Black Chambers. And then later on that evening, the Women's League, shout out to Michelle Glover, the chair of the Women's League, had their 2022 Prosperity Board. A lot of good information came out of that. We have been set in our focus for what we want to do as Black women for 2022. And then because we are entering tax season, on January 29th, we had our tax season 2022 empowerment session. So that's everything that you missed in January. So what's happening right now, while you're tuned in, you're getting ready to get the opportunity to learn about what's getting ready to happen in February. Every Tuesday at 8:30, we have our Tuesday Talks. Next Tuesday, February 8th, Kelvin Collins of the Atlanta Beltline will be our special guest speaker. We've had some amazing guest speakers in the past. The SBA was on, Ron Busby was on, who's the president of the U.S. Black Chambers, had some real nuggets dropped from the Operations Hope team on our Tuesday Talks. On February 9th, we are having our Lunch and Learn. It's a financial lunch and learn with our partners, Mass Mutual. So it's going to be right here at the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurship. February 10th, again, that's the second Thursday, MCAT will have a virtual tour of KIT Labs. So chamber members, Zach Farley, who's invested in the KIT Labs, we will do a virtual tour of this modernized kind of technological innovation center. And then February 16th, shout out to Corey Moore and the Taste to Urban team. We're having the Black business, this for month of February, we're highlighting Black businesses. So just be on the lookout on our social media feeds and also on our website for more of this information. And I can't forget that on February 25th, the Real Estate and Professional Services team will be having their event here at the Russell Center, of which I get to be the moderator and presenter of that particular event. And I'm super excited about that. And then save the date, ladies, March 21st, 2022. The Women's League is having their retreat. We will be at Lake Lanier, letting our hair down, more bonding, and then taking our businesses to the next level. That was a mouthful, but just kind of caught everybody up with the amazing things that happened in January. And hopefully you were able to write those down and things that
They didn't. And so what we want you to do is make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You go to our Instagram page, you'll see all of the flyers, all the information about these past events. Make sure that you get connected, get in where you fit in, find yourself a committee. But first thing you do, you need to become a member, because we also have ABC. We have an ABC members only group in which we share information. There's grant opportunities. We just had a situation. We have a grant that's pending right now with IKEA. There's some funds that are going to be dispersed with that. members only. There's also some announcement that was recently made with Wells Fargo and our relationship with Invest Atlanta. There's some opportunities there. And so those are things that you'll get. So stay connected with us. Tuesday Talks, social media, Chamber Live. There's always going to be opportunities for you to engage and connect with us on a regular basis. And so membership, do your membership plea right now. Do your membership plea. Do your Vanna White membership plea, because you always do it much better than me.
Membership has its privileges for only $295 for the entire year. Everything that I just listed, you can become a part of. I don't know if we have the time for this to tell you how you can do a deep dive and participate in the chamber on the at-large level, then participate in our affinity groups, and then participate in the industry sector based on your career and your entrepreneurial endeavors. So it's really bang for buck, and I'm saying $295 for the entire year. If you want to pace yourself, you can do $50 for the first month, and then $29 for every month after that. So that is.
There's plenty of opportunities. Go to AtlantaBlackChambers.org and you'll find a link there. We got to get back into this conversation. We got some great guys, as we mentioned. If you missed any part of the show, first part of our show, we talked a little bit with Luis Negron, Executive Director of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. He graced us enough that he hung out with us, but we gonna give our man some shine first, because we have to get our second guest here today. We have our brother Eldredge Washington. Eldredge Washington is CEO and founder of Just Eldredge Media. It is a company that focuses on developing content, podcasting, things of that nature. But I'll let him talk a little bit more about what that means and what he's doing with that. I first met this brother, man, I guess it's been 5 or more years ago. And I saw him and his partner at the time. I don't know if they're still cool, but I'm hoping they are. But if they're not, I'm sure. But he had a company called Spendify, and I saw this brother on CNN talking about this Spendify, and it was a marketplace to bring African American businesses together. And I was so impressed with this young brother. I met him, and if you know Eldredge, you know this brother has an opinion, a very learned opinion on everything when it comes down to black. He's out here not only from an economic standpoint, but also from an activism standpoint. Let me bring in my man, Eldredge Washington. Good afternoon, my brother. I think you're muted. Hold on a second. Nope, that's on me. I know you were knocking around a little bit. All right, go ahead. You good?
Am I good now?
You good now? Yes, sir.
How y'all doing this evening?
Man, we good. We good, man. It's good to see your face, man. This is one brother. Anytime you cannot get around Eldredge and not have that infectious energy get you going.
Hey, man, I'm here. First of all, I want to put out there, me and my business partner, we are still cool.
All right, good deal, good deal. I don't even know why I even opened that up to made you even, because you know how social media is. That's my bad. So, yeah. But I want to get into this thing. I kind of, we see each other. We'll see each other at the gathering spot. We'll see each other in these streets. And I know you were really, really active and are still active in the community, both from an economic standpoint, but also in a social justice standpoint. Talk to us about what you're doing right now, brother.
So right now, running Just Eldredge Media, content is super important to not only our business community, but our community overall. For businesses, it's the number one way to put yourself out there, gain new clients, get new sales, and go from here to the next level. So I'm heavy pushing on content for our Black businesses, but content for our people. I feel like we have to be in the business of propaganda. Propaganda is what got us here, and I feel like propaganda is going to get us out. So we got to begin to create. And propaganda is not a bad word.
Right.
Propaganda it's been used against us in a bad way, but we can reverse that and use it for ourselves. So the slogan of our company, Just As a Media, we create content that pushes the culture forward, and that's our goal. Is can we create content that empowers, educates, and elevates our people?
Content that you're creating. Talk to us about what you're doing. You're podcasting, you're doing video podcasts, you're live streaming, all of the above. Kind of what are you doing?
Right. So we're podcasting. At heart, we're a pure audio company, meaning you can find us on all streaming platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, but also we are on YouTube as well. What we're trying to do is control the narrative and control the conversations that affect us as people, and how can we have an unapologetic, uncompromised conversation. So whether that's culture, current events, whether that's politics, whether that's business, there needs to be a voice that is connected to our community, a voice that is uh, compassionate and cares about our community, that's not compromised. Like we get to say what we want to say because it's our platform. And I feel like we don't have enough of those platforms in our media
Hmm.
today. And that's what we're trying to create.
Well, so tell me about what's the name of some of the podcasts that you have out there and well, that you're producing now.
All right, so we have mine, the Just Elders podcast. That's our flagship show. We've been going for about 3 years. That one is a catch-all where you said I got opinions. I give all my opinions on there. Don't
Of
judge me.
course, ain't nobody
Uh,
judging you, brother. That's why I love you.
and,
Yeah, do your thing.
and, and then we have a political podcast, Where the Party At, hosted by Sabalone, nonpartisan platform where we just give all of the information that's happening in the political world in a digestible way. This platform is truly attracting and reaching out to the unreached voters
Mm-hmm.
or the unreached citizens that are not voting. And how do we take the boring uh, things that are happening in DC, happening in City Hall, and how do we make it in a digestible way that when you
Mm-hmm.
listen to it, you're like, oh, wow, I do have an opinion about that, or that is important. So Saba is doing that in a real beautiful way. We have Cree hosting Cool and Conscious. That is our podcast that is all about activism and having just a balanced life. You're a
Mm-hmm.
young person. She's young. She's cool. I
Mm-hmm.
tell people you can't be cool after 25. If you're 25 and 0, you're no longer
Hey
cool. You're just trying
man,
to catch up.
hey,
Yeah, you just trying to catch up. Look, and I'm 32 and I'm saying that.
hey,
I'm
bro.
telling you.
I believe me. I know. I like to think I'm still cool, but my kids remind me all the time that nah, bro, your time has passed.
So Cree, she's cool. Her ears to the street of what's really happening, and every day I'm with, I'm reminded of how much I'm not as tapped in like I want to be. So the Cool and Conscious podcast is just that platform for you to tap in what's happening in the streets on an urban cultural level, but also she's an activist. She's out here fighting and standing up for our people. What's happening on that side? My
Mm-hmm.
favorite, Simply Paulette, is my mother. My mother is one of the wisest advisors of my life.
Mm-hmm.
One of the wisest advisors in my friend's life. People call her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Hers is called Simply Paulette. It's
That's
all
nice.
about empowerment. And she just comes from a very unique perspective. A mother of six. She was married for 30 years. Then she was divorced, happily divorced. And then she entered back into the dating phase after
Mm-hmm.
30 years of marriage in 2020. So
Yeah.
she's just being very transparent about that journey, and there's a lot to connect with in her show. Last but not least, we have the That's Law podcast, and that is our podcast. What we say is free game. Attorney Durante Partridge every week is giving game for small business owners and creatives, and I have to really stick on that creative side because we're entering into a new economy
Mm-hmm.
where literally being good at social media is a career, a really good career. And a lot of those creatives did not know that, well, you're a business now. So there are a lot of laws that you got to follow. There are a lot of rules that you got to get in line with.
And
So
see,
having,
I'm slow. See, I was supposed to hit you with the Jamaican horn when you hit him with that. See, I'm trying to be cool, and I'm not. It ain't working. Say that again. Social media.
it's,
Social media. Look at Rock. Like, look
it,
at Miguel. Oh my God, here
it's
he
a
goes.
it's a career.
It
It's a
is,
career.
man. It
Like
is. It's.
I got about 10 to 15 people that are close personal friends I talk to on a daily or weekly basis that are making over six figures a year simply on their Instagram. And there's ways to do it, but even them, they had to go back and learn the laws and the business rules that they got to follow. And Durante Partridge, he has the Lions Den firm. It's a boutique firm for creatives and entrepreneurs. So
That's pretty.
it was a blessing.
That's.
Yeah, it was a blessing to be able to have him come on the platform and give this information. So those are the five. We're actually going to production tonight of one of our newest shows. Super excited about that. Y'all be seeing that release soon, the pilot
Mm-hmm.
soon. And I let's just say I ain't playing this year,
Man,
Miguel.
hey, bro, I am so proud of you. I really am, man. I always tell, I was telling my daughter who, and I need to hook her up with you in your community. She'll be graduating from Clark Atlanta this year. She's a creative, and
Man.
in the film space. And there was some pieces some work I had her doing for us, and she was worrying about. I said, the enemy of done, the perfect is the enemy of done. Sometimes you just got to get it out there. And
Yeah.
one thing, coming from my background, it's always about everything's got to be perfect, 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 right? where I watch, y'all generations, y'all pick up y'all phone. Next thing you know, you got 100 videos out there, and it's generating revenue, and it's generating what is getting people to the places where they want to be. And so, I appreciate your transparency with that piece because it's important, man. I want to bring Luis into this conversation because we got
My
a few
boy
Can I
minutes.
say
Luis.
something?
Go ahead, Raquel.
Wait, I got something to say. I'm
Absolutely.
speaking. So one of the things that I just wanted to just kind of say is that, Eldridge, I believe that you are history in the making. I run into you because we were campaign managers and we kind of ran into these circles. So
Mm-hmm.
would be your historical blueprint? Like drop some names of people who have come before you that have set you on your course to be the fire that you are right
Man, I have so many, and I'll start with this one because you're right. We did meet in politics. The person that got me involved and put me on my first campaign to work on was the late great Michael Langford, who just passed this year. Michael Langford, Derek Bozeman, brothers like that really gave me
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity. I'm 32 now. I met these guys when I was 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me an opportunity to just learn and grow under them. Also had opportunities to work with people like Reverend E. Love. The E stands for Everybody
Mm-hmm.
Votes. We know him.
Mm-hmm.
Reverend Bolden with the mule train. I mean, I've had a great opportunity just to sit under, and I think that has been the source of my success, is always being the youngest in the room. And that being said, I've had a lot of opportunity to soak up a lot of information, a lot of game. I consider myself a pretty good player, but I take pride in being able to be the water boy in some great teams. So
No, that's one thing I've always admired about you, brother, is your humility. But it's not humility like you not walk around with your head held down. No, we understand when you walk in the room, you have something to say, but
now?
having that balance between having something to say or being willing to listen is something that a lot of younger people are. And we were there. We all kind of went through that phase, and I think there were some of us who were able to be strong, but know when to sit down at the feet of someone who can teach. Because some of the names you just dropped, brother, you definitely had some great mentors. I want to bring in Luis into this conversation.
my boy Luis.
Yeah. So we got some powerful faces on this screen, and we appreciate you guys for participating in Chamber Live today. But let's get into it. The next, we got about 5 or 7 minutes left. I wanted to bring everybody in and the rest of this conversation. You guys may have heard, Eldredge, I don't know if you were on earlier, brother, when we kind of some of the hot topic stuff that we started at the top of the show today. We talked about the Supreme Court and the fact that President Biden is part of his campaign was that he was going to nominate a black woman. He has done that. And then there's also the blind floor situation in the governor's race. Eldredge, I want you to jump in right there, and then we'll kind of respond because we've all opined about it. What's your thoughts, first of all, on the Supreme Court?
Well, first of all, it's an opportunity for us to take advantage and really begin to leverage power the way we definitely need to. But for me, I'm gonna be real. As much as I love and I adore black women, I just told you I gave homage to my mother, and she is one of the strongest black women I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for someone that's not only black in skin, but black in thought, black
Mm-hmm.
in policy, black in passion,
Mm-hmm.
black in beliefs. And we can no longer, we all know it, just because you are skin don't mean you are kin.
All skin
And
folk ain't
right,
our kinfolk, that's for sure.
yeah, so right now, I'm not looking for symbolism. I'm looking for real impact and real change. And I don't know much about any of the candidates that they have put up, so I can't necessarily speak to that. But I can speak to what I would like is someone that's going to really come in and be unapologetically what we need right now for us to go towards liberation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, an excellent point. I think that sometimes there is a level of symbolism in it, but symbolism is important. It is. Now, at that point, you have to challenge the people who are being presented. I don't know much about them yet. I will be digging in and learning about these potential candidates to see what they are about. And then at that point, we need to understand that process. Who do we challenge in the state of Georgia to go challenge them in Washington? Who
Right.
are our state reps, state senators? Do we go to Senator Warnock, Senator Ossoff? some of the folks here to make sure that they're doing what they need to do in DC. Let's talk about the governor's race. It is this year. Stacey Abrams did declare in December that she will run for the governor's race, and so what's your take on that?
Yes, me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Look.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
We've
So
already opined about all this, all of us. So we want to see what you're gonna. Then Luis, if you want to jump in and let's have a little bit of conversation for the next couple of minutes.
no, no. So I'm definitely team Stacy. We definitely want to see that happen, but I do believe we got to begin to see a lot of noise. I think
Mm-hmm.
um, people, our voters. One thing that we saw in this Atlanta race, our voters here in Georgia are more fatigued than we would like to admit.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a level of excitement that has to happen. I get right now she gets to kind of cruise because they have a real gladiator fight between Purdue and Kemp that's happening in their primary. So that's to her advantage. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, I think there needs to be a level of excitement. She just came out and said she raised about 9 million. So we got to start putting that on the ground, and we got to start getting people excited before this primary. I believe that's
Mm-hmm.
what I think needs to happen. So I'm definitely Team Stacy. If I
Yes.
had to choose, I want Purdue versus Kemp. I mean, I want Purdue versus Stacy over Kemp versus Casey. That's me in my
Interesting.
prediction.
Interesting. What's your take on that, Luis?
I would agree with Brother Eldridge. It right now she's cruising. They're battling on that side, on the Republican side. I do think that what we need to also is for us not to sit and think that people are just going to show up to vote the day to vote. I think that the way they're changing the voter IDs, they're redistricting, just we have to pay attention that that's happening now in the state of Georgia under the gold dome. So certain districts are not going to look the same when it's time for this vote to go down. I can say, especially in Gwinnett County where I used to live, Atlanta where I live, I'm seeing the map drawn differently. That is now probably heavily Republican than it was Democrat when the elections happened last time around. So those are things we also have to look and read and see and understand the redistricting of maps.
One thing I do want to talk about before we get off here, because we're all business people here, and whether it be red or blue, we have to see green and make sure economically we're moving. And here's the thing, quiet is kept. There's been a lot of black folks who had who were ready and positioned, who did pretty well the last 2 or 3 years, and so when you what would you say would be your take? Because I know, Luis, you focus a little bit more on the nonprofit side. Eldridge, you focus a little bit more on the for-profit side. I'm kind of teeter on both sides, with my work with my clients and the work that I do philanthropically. But um, balancing out what you don't like politically and what may be policies that you can take advantage of to grow your business. Kind of, what's your take on that, Luis? And Eldridge, I'd love to get your feedback on that as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say that historically, what I've seen in my lifetime is that business owners have always thrived under the Republican rule. They are just the policies that they have are always tax advantages. They have, they really help us grow as businesses, regardless of your skin tone. It's about the green, and I think you have to educate yourself as a business owner. That's why I'm really excited to be here talking with the Atlanta Black Chamber, because it's important that you understand the tax laws, you understand the incentives and things that are there for you to get
Mm-hmm.
to grow your business, regardless of who's in office. As a nonprofit, I think for us, we have to stay purple and be able to teeter on both ends, because we need both ends to get the funding that we need to thrive as a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Eldridge, I know you don't have you don't have any shame. You're out here being an activist, but you're also a businessman. And so I know you get out in them streets. You got a lot of people who want to scream and holler about how bad it is under Republican rule and things of that nature. How do you normally handle those type of conversations?
I'm gonna be real. I feel like us as a people, we've survived everything, and we're gonna always survive and thrive, regardless of who's in position of power. What I want to see, the reason why I say I want Purdue over Kemp, because like you said, there are people are not outraged with Kemp's leadership. If we're just gonna have a real conversation, and as my bad, I
You
just
fine.
messed up.
We hear you.
Okay, I hear echo. I hear some. I hear myself.
I don't know what you may have done, but we hear you fine. We hear you fine.
All right, perfect. So let me just take this out my ear then. Um, so we've seen leadership. under Kemp, people are not necessarily outraged out of his leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, the reason why we want to see Purdue, because Purdue has the closest ties to Trump, and our people, they vote for two reasons: whether they're excited about something and they're scared of something. And tying him,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to tie Purdue to Trump than it is Kemp, because Kemp and Trump are clearly bumping heads
Sure.
publicly. So
Sure.
saying that to say, I just feel like right now what we got to do as a people is focus on what is best for us overall, and we got to get back to having those conversations, those family business conversations that don't include nobody else, and us getting back in those back rooms and organizing, strategizing, and planning on how we're going to take this leadership to the next level. That's what I want to see us do.
Brothers, I really appreciate y'all, man. Y'all making the time for us, making the time and having this part of this conversation. Public plea, Brother Eldredge, we need you with our Young Entrepreneurs Collaborative. We need you with that part of our organization. We do have an organization geared to our business people under the age of 35. So I'm hoping that we can make a connection there and get you engaged. We need that energy, brother.
Publicly, you got my commitment, but I ain't the young cat y'all met a long time ago. I'm only gonna be there 3 more years now.
Oh, hey, and then you slide over here and hang out with those old heads. You know what I mean? When the gray start coming in, right? But your leadership, man, we need your leadership in our space. So I talk about it all the time in the chamber. There's a lot of people like yourself that are in the Atlanta market that are doing chamber work without the chamber. And so we want to make sure that we let you know we're here as a resource. Luis as well, brother, we already opened up some conversation. I've talked to the entrepreneurs speaker series folks. I was sitting on that committee with the 100, and so we want to help because, man, guys, some of the speakers we have with that speaker series, the fact that the audiences were not larger, the audience is here with the chamber. We're going to kind of put those groups together because the people who spoke on that speaker series were amazing. All right, team, I appreciate y'all, man. Thanks so much for your time. You guys are welcome back anytime. And Eldredge, if you need any help or any guest on any of your podcasts, feel free to reach out to me or any of our members of the chamber. I can make sure I can get you some great people on those shows.
Let's start with all three of y'all. I need to get an interview from all three of y'all, so we'll talk about it.
Done deal.
Yeah.
You got me, brother. I appreciate you. All right, Rock. Let me get you back on here. I done rename. I think I've been watching my little mouse don't want to act right. I've been watching these little shows, and I got you calling you Rock because that's the character from one of those 50 Cent. What is it? BMF. I think they call her name is Raquel or something. I call you Rock. So
I think 50 Cent's mom, his name Raquel, and she was
okay.
So you
right. Okay. Well, we got only got a few minutes left for our show today. I want you to go ahead and wrap. What do you think? Show, couple bumps, but we get in.
Amazing. The goal for this one was to just kind of find, current Black history. I mean, they give us these 28 days, but we're making history. Sometimes it's 29. Yeah. But we're making history all the time. And to have those two voices here, one that represents, our brown people, if you will, with Afro-Latino perspective, and then Eldredge to come in and close us out with that young, fresh, kind of activist perspective, as you will. And I'm even going to go so far as, having a brother from Cali coming in, and then having our homeboy from Griffin with his accent getting on this. Coming in, all that together. It's just a perfect. This is where history is being made. So
absolutely, all day, every day. I appreciate the Atlanta community, me with my Virginia self, and you with your Jersey self, and we got our Afro Latino from Oakland, and we got our brother from Griffin, and everybody is all in the mix, and that's what we do here with Atlanta Black Chambers. We appreciate you guys tuning in to our show today. We appreciate you guys engaging. We had a lot of people. Man, let me see who we have in the chat here today. If you have anything, make sure we didn't make the announcement. We normally do that early in the show where we tell you to drop it in there, drop your businesses in the chat. Cortisha, I think Cortisha, we and I have had a conversation. I'm almost certain. Up here, and we want you to get engaged with what we're doing with the South Metro. So make sure you reach out to me, email me at communications@atlantablackchambers.org or Miguel@lloydmediagroup.net. I wasn't going to put my personal email address out there in my business, but I just did. Oh, well. Shoot me an email. Either way, we want to connect. to you guys. Raquel, you did an amazing job, as always, keeping everything tight, telling us about what's going on. Women's League, Health and Human Services. You see, it's February, so next March is Health and Human Service Month. Is that correct? What is March?
March is
women. Is women. It is Women's History. That's right. All right. So, so let's rest assured. So I'm already claiming it. We got to get. I think we already talked about getting Michelle on in the month of March. So let's go ahead and lock her in and get her going. Guys, we appreciate you guys. We'll check you all next month. You've been checking out Chamber Live. I'm Miguel Lloyd. It's Raquel Hill. We've had a guest, Eldredge Washington, Louise Negron, and some amazing people engaged today. We appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all next month.